Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Blissful Literature. Today, we are going to discuss how to change speech from direct to indirect, or how to change the narration, or perhaps you may even say that we are going to talk about how to report. Now, I'm sure that growing up with siblings or being the mischievous kid in the class, you all have seen your fair share of reporting and have indeed done some as well, maybe to the parents or to the teacher. We can even assume that you have a natural talent for it. So, this class aims to help you develop your talent further by familiarizing you with the tools of the trade. So, let's begin, and let's begin with the definitions first. You see, reported speech is when we tell something to someone. Basically, we can tell another person what we ourselves said earlier, or maybe we can tell something to somebody else what the other person has said. So, to do this, we can change the speech from direct to indirect. So, basically, direct speech is when we directly quote the person who said something, and indirect speech is when we change the quotation as per our requirement and we just report it. So, to do this, before we need to understand these definitions. So, first of all, the direct speech. When a speaker himself says something directly or is quoted directly by somebody else, we have direct speech. For example, you may say that I am all right. Now, when I say I am all right, that is direct speech. But suppose you are reporting it back to somebody else, then it won't continue to be a direct speech anymore. So just remember, when a speaker himself says something directly or is quoted directly by somebody else, we have direct speech. For example, I am okay. So another marker, the direct speech always comes within quotation marks to indicate that obviously it is a direct speech. And indirect speech basically when somebody else reports the quoted portion by improvising it, changing it as per the requirements to somebody else. That is indirect speech. So as per the definition, when someone reports whatever the speaker has said in his own words, we have indirect speech. Now, let's have some example of this I am okay part. We can easily say he says that he is okay because somebody else he is saying it. So definitely he will be okay. So when we are reporting it, we will say he says that he is okay. Reported verb. So we have another thing in a given sentence, the verb outside the quoted section is reported verb. So this verb is really very important because you see the tense of the resulting sentence in the indirect speech totally depends on the tense of this reported verb. So the verb outside the quoted section in a direct speech is called reporting verb or reported verb. And similarly, the quoted portion you can easily understand if the verb is called reporting verb, then the quoted section will definitely be called reported speech. So reported speech is the section within the quotation in a direct speech is called reported speech. So in the first example, I am okay. This is reported speech. So now let's have a diagram to help us understand these concepts better, their position and what they mean. So let's have a sentence first. He says, I am all right. So here we have the subject he and there's a verb outside the quotation part that is says. Now this particular verb is called reporting verb. How this determines the tense in the indirect speech we will discuss afterwards, but just remember this verb outside the quoted portion is called reporting verb. And now the quoted portion, this section is called reporting speech. The All the words within the quotation mark, they will be called reporting speech. And whenever you see a sentence like this, some section outside the quotation portion and some section within the quotation, always know that you have come across a direct speech. Now, when you change this into indirect, he says, done and dusted, he had gone away. Now you have come back home, or you are speaking to somebody else, your friend, another person, maybe. So what you gonna do? You will report whatever he said in your own words. He is not here to say it himself, right? So you are going to report it. You are going to tell whatever he told you already. So what are you going to say? You will say, he says that he is all right. Note how I changes into he, because I basically stands for the third person who has already left. So he says that he is all right. And when you come across such a section, such a sentence, always know that you have come across an indirect speech. Now, let's have a few more diagrams to understand what we mean by direct speech and indirect speech. So let's first have this old fellow. Look at this man listening to music, right, with his headphones on. And what is he saying? I am listening to music. So you see the chat bubble, the box there indicates what this man is telling us himself directly. So I am listening to music. He is speaking himself. And this lady, she says, I can see the school bus. She is even pointing to the bus, perhaps, but the fact remains she is speaking herself. There is no need to report whatever she's saying. Right. Let's have another. This man, he simply says, my name is Anthony. He is perhaps introducing himself to us, but the fact remains he addresses us directly. We hear him speaking to us directly. So all these sentences, I am listening to music, I can see the school bus, my name is Anthony, spoken by the respective person, all these sentences are direct speech. And to clarify the point further, let's have a few more sets. For example, this man again, this Anthony guy, he says, I am studying French. Right? Very good, Anthony. Good for you. And what is she telling? It is 6 p.m. now. Maybe there is a curfew back at her home and she needs to be home before that. And now she's in big trouble. So she just wonders, she just tells that it is 6 p.m. now. And look at this guy. He's really happy because, as he says, tomorrow is a holiday. So this man, he informs us that tomorrow is a holiday. Similarly, this another man, this boy, he says, I'm sad because I lost my ball. Well, there is a poem in class 10 CBSE first flight, the ball poem. This boy reminds me of that boy. He has also lost his ball and perhaps he's sad. Yes, he says, I am sad because I lost my ball. So again, all these sets, they are all indirect speech because they themselves are speaking to us. Nobody else is there to report whatever they are saying. Nobody else is needed to change these statements in their own words, to convert these. So all these speech bubbles, text bubbles that we have, they are all in direct speech. Let's have some more. I have kept the ball in the cupboard. So again, continuing, he had kept the ball in the cupboard from where it is lost, but right now he addresses us directly. I have kept the ball in the cupboard. The thief has hidden somewhere. The policewoman is really worried, I may say, uh, because she cannot find the thief. The thief has hidden somewhere. I am feeling sad. Again, this boy is back and he says, I am feeling sad. He tells that directly to us. We are going to Ranikhet. She's wondering maybe what dress to wear, her get-up, makeup, all those things. She is really confused, maybe, or wondering how she should prepare. So she directly tells us that we are going to Ranikhet. All these, again, I repeat, I emphasize on this fact that these speakers, these people present here on the screen, they address us directly, they speak to us directly. All these bubbles, it is their own words, these bubbles, they are all their own words. There is no need to change it. These words has not been changed. They are all in the direct speech because we can easily see the speakers and hear or at least read what they are saying. So these are all direct speech. Now, as opposed to direct speech, let's now see how the conversion works. So we have this man who is speaking to this boy, and what is he saying? He says, again, back to the first example, I suppose, he says, I am all right. Now, look very carefully. This man who is standing here is talking to this boy, and he says directly, I repeat, he himself says, I am all right. But here the man has gone away, and this boy is addressing somebody else. This lady, this boy is addressing this lady. And remember, the man is out of the picture. So this boy, he said that he was all right. So the boy was with the man. He has come back. He is now talking with the lady and he is reporting. So he said, that is, the man said that he was all right. This is how the conversion works from present tense to past tense. Okay, let's have some more examples. This lady now is talking to this man, and what is she saying? You are not coming to school. Okay, so she is worried, and he behaves like he has got caught doing something illegal. He is feeling guilty, perhaps. You are not coming to school, and then the lady walks away, and this man is left alone till this another person comes up, and he cannot but express whatever he is thinking. He says, she said, that is the lady, the woman, she said that I was not going to school. You see, the same man is telling this, right? In that case, it was the boy speaking about another person. But right now, it is the same man speaking about himself. So she said that I was not going to school. As I said, when we convert a sentence from direct speech to indirect speech, we make several changes. Now, let's talk about these changes. We will have few more pictures, but let's settle this thing here. First of all, we change the tense. As you can see, you are not coming to school. You know very well which tense this is in. Yes, this is in, you have rightly guessed, present continuous tense. But as we convert it into indirect speech, you can see that it has become I was not going to school. That is past continuous tense. So from present, we go to past. Next, another change that we can see, the change is in pronoun, the use of pronoun. You are not coming to school. You became I in this case because the same person is speaking. So you becomes I. Another change is in the verb coming. Coming became going. So these kind of changes takes place when we convert direct speech to indirect speech, or they just act in reverse when we convert indirect speech to back to direct. Let's have some more such images, such more examples, and then we will get down to the main ideas, main theory, or you can even say the formula, how this works. But before that, let's have few more examples. We have this man, he says, I have got an idea. And here comes Superman. And he's worried actually. He said that he had got an idea. So what happened to that idea? Did it work? Did it not work? What happened? Whatever. But see, again, this is how direct speech is converted into indirect. Note the present perfect tense. I have got an idea gets converted into exactly. Right you are. Past perfect tense. He had got an idea. However, I will draw your attention to the verb after he in the indirect speech. Note the verb reads said, S A I D, said. the past form of the verb say. You see, whenever these conversions from present to past takes place, always remember the reporting verb should always be in past tense. Otherwise, this kind of change doesn't work. Let's have some more example. Let's have a look at this policeman. I am confused about that car. So this policeman, perhaps there was this car and I don't know, crossed the speed limit or parking restrictions, maybe whatever. But I am confused about that car. This policeman says, and when this guy reports it back, maybe a bystander or maybe a journalist, when he reports it back, Aditya said, okay, so we have the name of the policeman here, Aditya. Aditya said that he was confused about that car. So you see, am gets converted into its past form was. And again, note the culprit who is responsible for this conversion. That is the verb outside, said. That is the main culprit. Because of his presence, because of his tense, he is dictating the remaining tenses in any given sentence. Let's have one final example. This old lady, I am afraid of dogs. And our music lover uncle is back and he says, he's again really enjoying the situation. He says, she said, note again this villain, this culprit said. And you can easily understand what is coming next. You can even see that, right? The sentence, I am afraid of dogs, gets converted into the past tense. She said that she was afraid of dogs. So before we move on to the next part, let me tell you something more. You see, here we have two images and two text boxes. So in these two images, one we have direct speech, the woman, she's speaking directly, and another we have this old fellow, old uncle, uh, who is reporting whatever the woman has said already. So in indirect speech, remember, we often use a tense which is further back in the past. We often remember this. In indirect speech, we often use a tense which is further back in the past. Am afraid, was afraid. This shift, this change, going further back into the past, this shift is called back shift. And apart from this back shift, we also need to change other words like pronouns, adverbs, sometimes verbs or adjectives even. So in this class, we will limit ourselves to the change we make only in the tenses. So we have already seen how the change works basically. So now we are going to talk about the formula. So here we have a tense table. Remember, there are three basic tenses, right? Present tense, past tense, and yes, obviously, thank you for guessing it correctly, future tense. So now these three tenses, they work in two different manners. Now, present tense and future tense, they join hands. They are together in everything. They make the changes as they seem fit, uh, whatever they do together. And what is that? What they do? Basically, they do nothing. Suppose the reporting verb. Remember, when we are talking about tense table, we are actually considering the tense of the reporting verb, right? That is the first thing. First thing on the table right now, right before us, is the tense of the reporting verb. So the reporting verb can be in present tense, past tense, and future tense. Now, as I was telling you, present tense and future tense, they work together. And past tense, well, past tense has its own set of rules. Okay, because you see, whatever we have done in the past decides our present and makes us whatever we will become in the future. So, definitely, that is really powerful, potent. But present and future, the moment we are living in right now and the moment we are going to inherit next, They work together. So reporting verb, when the reporting verb is in present tense or in future tense, they basically do nothing. The direct speech, whatever tense it is in, when we convert it into indirect speech, it remains unchanged. There is no change at all. So if it is in simple present tense, it will be in simple present tense only. If it is in present continuous tense, it will remain to be in present continuous tense. If it is in present perfect tense, again, obviously, it will remain in present perfect tense. Similarly, simple past, past continuous, past perfect continuous, they will not change at all. They will continue to be in whatever their tenses are in. They will continue in their respective tense forms. Straight from simple present to future perfect continuous. All the three tenses: present, past, future. If the tense of the reporting verb is in present or future, remember, if the tense of the reporting verb is in present or future, the direct speech does not change its tense form when we convert it into indirect speech. It remains the same. This was the easy part. The difficult part is the next one. But before that, let's talk about some examples. So, here in this chart, we can see that the tense has been divided into two categories. The first, present and future tense, indicates the tense of the reporting verb. The reporting verb is in present or future tense. Now, all the examples have been categorized in three segments: present tense, past tense, and future tense. So, in the direct speech, I say or I will say, understand this, visualize this. The given sentence, I say or I will say, comma, quotation, I play. It will become in indirect speech, I say that or I will say that I play. If it is I say, comma, quotation, I am playing in direct speech, when we convert it into reported speech, we make it I say that I am playing. If we say I say, comma, quotation, I have played, it will become I say that I have played. So as you can understand, here we see no changes. I shall play will continue to be I shall play. I shall have played will continue to be I shall have played. I played will become I played only. I had played, I had played only. The only change, if we can see, I think you have already noticed the one change that we're making from direct to indirect is that in indirect speech, we are adding one that. I say that or I will say that. Now, this that comes to replace the comma and quotation marks in direct speech. When we write something in direct speech, we use comma and quotation. When we convert the speech, when we report it, we remove the comma and quotation part, and in place of that, we bring in that. So that's all with examples of present and future tenses in case of the reporting verb. Now let's talk about the past tense, how they work. Now, past tense, as I said, is really, really powerful. It has the power to, control whoever comes across it or whoever it comes across. They convert it, they shift it. So when we are using, when the reporting verb is in past tense, remember, whatever tense the direct speech is in, when we convert it into indirect speech, they all take their respective past forms, right? They all take, I repeat, their respective past form. How that works, let's see. So suppose it is in simple present, it will become simple past. The simple part will remain as it is, but present will become past. And this will continue with present continuous. Will remain continuous, but present will become past. So if you remember, in our tense discussion, we had brought in the concept of aspect. So we can say that tense changes to past, but the aspect remains the same. Now, if you have forgotten what aspect is, I would suggest, or if you are new here, so I would suggest go back and just go through the first video on tense chapters. There we have a detailed discussion on tense and aspect. So that will help you understand this a little bit more. When I say that the aspect remains same, but the tense is shifted to the past form. Present perfect continuous becomes past perfect continuous. Past perfect remains past perfect. Past perfect continuous remains past perfect continuous. But the difficulty arises when we convert simple past or past continuous tense. For this, remember this one formula. SP is equal to PP and PC is equal to PPC. Basically, simple past becomes past perfect, and past perfect, past continuous becomes past perfect continuous. Okay, these are the two exceptions which you must remember. Simple past becomes past perfect, and past continuous becomes past perfect continuous. The remaining cases remains unchanged. And when we are dealing with a future form, we just use should or would in place of shall and will. But the remaining things, they remain just the same. We use the past form of the respective future tenses. It will be even more clear when we come to the next slide, which gives us the examples, how it works. So let's have it. So as you can see, again, we are talking about the reporting verb, which is in past tense, the big past tense, and then the reported speech. The three tenses it may appear: present, past, and future. So I said, comma, quotation, in direct speech. I said, comma, quotation, I play. Note, simple present tense, I play. When we are converting into indirect speech, it is becoming I said that I played. Play becomes played from simple present to simple past. I have played becomes I had played. I have been playing becomes I had been playing. All the tenses, they shift towards past. Their aspect remains same. Simple remains simple. Continuous remains continuous. Perfect remains perfect. And perfect continuous remains perfect continuous. As I said, the exception. Only two exceptions are there. I played. In past tense, it becomes I had played. Remember the formula? SP becomes PP. Simple past, played becomes past perfect, had played. I was playing, PC, past continuous becomes I had been playing, PPC, past perfect continuous. But past perfect, I had played, that doesn't change. It remains I had played, and so does I had been playing. In these two cases, there are no changes. I had been playing. Future, as I said, we always take the should or would form. I shall play becomes I should play. Shall be playing, should be playing. Shall have played, should have played. So that is how we change the tenses. So this is the first part of our narration chapter. We will have at least two more discussions to complete this chapter. In the meantime, go through this video carefully, take notes, make points, and if you find anything to discuss about, any difficulty, any doubt, do reach us. We will surely help you. Till then, bye bye.